Alright, hi, Hey everybody, this is BudgetStrong.com. I'm coming to you with another video today. I know I haven't did a video in a while, but I wanted to do one for you guys really quick and just talk about some things that I've noticed. So on the screen, you're probably seeing right now some data that looks like it's in an Excel spreadsheet. And it is. This is actually my career history. Today, I was thinking about just some transitions that I've made in my career and how I got to be where I am. And so I started typing, what were some of the amounts that I made for a salary over the years or hourly. Then I started wondering, well, what kind of positions were those? What did I have? What year did those actually occur in? And before I knew it, I had this huge Excel spreadsheet that shows essentially everything that I wanted to know, and that I think is good to look back on. I don't know if any of you have ever decided to think about, wow, what has my career really looked like? How have I increased in my pay? How many times was I laid off, or did I quit a job, or was I promoted? What was my pay fluctuation looking like? And what kind of education did I have at the time? What made me the right candidate for the position? And as I started to think about those things, I thought to myself, like, wow, this is some really good data that I could probably share on BudgetStrong.com. And I thought it would be helpful for others to see this information as well, because this is not something that people publish quite often. Given that this is part of my one-year experiment, I thought it would be okay to do that. And then, as I looked at the data, I started noticing some really interesting statistics about my history, or my career history. And I thought those would be appropriate to share as well. So started jotting those down, typing those out, and this is what I came up with. So let me just go over this kind of info spreadsheet of my statistics with my career that I've accumulated over the years. So, having said that, let's take a look here. So, up top, you see very quickly, this is the number of jobs that I've had all the way back to 2000, before I actually even went to college. This is like my junior, senior year of high school. And I started off as a fast food cashier. I hated that job, by the way. Absolutely hated working fast food, number one. And I absolutely hated being a cashier. But I learned a lot from being there. In fact, I still know somebody that works there to this day. I kid you not. But I want to talk a little bit more about my other positions that I've held over time. So, next position, I was a construction laborer. Shout out to That Good Concrete Company. Nobody's going to know about that, but maybe one or two people out there, if you see this, you know who you are. A company that me and a buddy of mine tried to start some time ago. A long time ago now, I think about it, over 12 years now. But I was a concrete mason. Went out to get into IT. I went to college. And I just progressed over my career. I see from tech support supervisor up to the president of my own company now. And so the sizes of the company, I've been in companies that were size of 16 people, one person, myself, which is my company now, all the way up to a 400,000 plus employee company. So I've been in the small, the large, and the in-between, where 25,000 people, 100 people in a company. But I thought of something interesting. I said, how much did I make when I had these jobs? So going all the way back to 2000 here, you can see that I made minimum wage, $5.15 an hour. And I looked all this up. Okay, so I'm backing this up with facts and statistics that are true to the time that I actually held these jobs. So the Illinois State minimum wage, I thought would be a good way, because I live in the Midwest, so I thought Illinois would be a good reference to what minimum wage was like at that time. And minimum wage was like $5.15 an hour. Okay, $5.15 an hour. That's $206 per week. Okay, that's a total of $10,712 a year. If you work full time, 40 hours a week, and never took a day off for 52 weeks, that's only $10,712 back then. Okay, and so at that time, I was right on board with, being minimum wage. Hey, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Want to say hi? Say hi. Say hi. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Daddy's trying to record a video, okay? All right. So, sorry about that. That was Little Budget Boy. So, looking at this here, you can see that I was right on par with minimum wage, but I had no education. I had only not no education. I did have some education. I had an 11th grade education at the time, so that wasn't gonna garnish me much in the way of wages. I wasn't gonna get a whole lot out of that, right? I had 0 vacation days. I worked an average of 20 hours per week. Now that's the reality of what I worked, but I took these numbers and I plugged them in for full time. So if somebody was full time, or if I would have worked that job full time, okay, just to give you a reference point of what I would have made working full time, okay. But my actual average hours per week were 20. Going forward, now let's skip a few years so you can read over this. It's in the blog post if you want to check that out in depth. But I want to kind of quickly go over some of these things. Okay, so we're going to fast forward to after I finished college, got my bachelor's degree. As you can see here, my BS in NCM, which is Network and Communications Management. And I became a tech support supervisor, my very first job after graduating. Actually, I had the job I got the job just before I graduated. And so this is like the first real responsibility as far as, postgraduate my post-undergrad. And I only made $29,993, roughly $30,000 a year, working full time. My pay per hour was $14 an hour at the time, and as you see, that was more than twice what the Illinois state minimum wage was at the time, which was $6.50. Okay, $6.50. So already I'm doing much better than if I had no education at all. And that's something that I kind of noticed as a trend over time, was that I actually I now make 15 times what minimum wage is today. Now, here's an interesting fact. It took 11 years for me to make nearly 14.56 times what someone makes today on minimum wage. The Illinois minimum wage has increased by 37.58%, which is a total of $3.10 per hour. Okay, so it went from being $5.15 an hour to now today in Illinois it's $8.25. So that's only an increase of $3.10. My wage has increased by 93.13% above the $5.15 per hour minimum wage in 2000, which is a total of $69.85 per hour more, which is, that's insane. And I think about what education has allowed me to achieve. Not saying that everyone has to go to college, but just becoming educated and whatever you do is really going to help you achieve the goals that you want in life. One second. I am actually in the middle of cooking here. Just want to check on things, make sure everything's alright. Playing Chef RD today. Making dinner here. Alright. So my apologies. But, as I was saying, statistically, that's crazy that I've been able to do that. And, I think to myself, like, for those that make minimum wage today, how is it that they're able to survive on what they're making, you know. And so I started looking up some other statistics that didn't necessarily have to do with my my statistics here, but really had an impact on what my statistics would mean then. So looking at statistic number, I'll just scroll down here. You don't want to make you guys have to listen to it all, but I just thought this was interesting, something that you can look at later for yourself, and then maybe you can create something similar to this for yourself to really see how your wages have increased over the years. And one of the things I noticed is that ever since I got my high school diploma, which is this column here, immediately my pay doubled, or not necessarily immediately, but my pay essentially doubled from that of when I was in minimum wage. Okay, so instead of making $5.15 an hour, I now made $11 an hour. And every 2 years after that, I noticed that my wage has more than doubled. So in 2005, which is 2 years later, roughly 2-3 years later, from 2002, if you count the end of it, it's 2 years. I now made triple what minimum wage was in 2000, in 2005. In 2007, I now made 5 times what minimum wage was in 2000. And that's not, and you may be saying, well, it's different now in the year that, you know, you're making that, but it only went up $1.35. Okay, so while that's not really increasing in speed of rate, my pay is. 2007, 2007 I made 5 times that. In 2010, 7 times that. By today's date, I make 15 times that. Crazy. So I'm able to see this progression here of, you know, how, you know, my education has impacted my salary. Okay, and I think that's something that's key to be recognized. Again, I'm not preaching here, go to school, go to school, go to school. What I am saying is educate yourself, whatever that means. 1 second. Got some spring rolls with some Chinese rice. So, but back to the video while that cools off before we get ready to eat. I just want to few more statistics and then I'll be done. So let's see. What's an interesting one that I noticed? Okay, here's one. A person on minimum wage with a family of 3 is under the poverty line if they make less than $19,387. And this is a statistic from 2012. Okay, and you go look it up. I think it's the government labor statistic or whatever. So if you have 3, a family of 3, I have a family of 3. Okay, if you have a family of 3, if you make less than $19,000, you're basically considered to be poor. Okay, I come from a background of where there's 10 of us. Okay, kid you not, 10 of us. Got a lot of brothers and sisters. Shout out to you guys out there. And you know, my dad made just above minimum wage. You know, it wasn't making a whole lot. He was a truck driver at the time, and you know, I love my dad. He worked hard, crazy hard for us. You know, so did my mom. You know, and taking care of us and raising us. And these statistics and information helped me to see and appreciate, you know, where I am today. You know, and I know that hard work has been a severe factor in getting me here. You know, and God first and foremost has been the greatest factor in me getting here. But it's just crazy to see it, to actually look back and see the journey I've taken to get where I am. You know, it's just crazy. So here's another statistic for you. Today, a person that makes minimum wage at $8.25, that works 40 hours a week, makes $17,160 a year. So if you don't have a high school diploma and you are forced to get a job that's minimum wage, whether that's working at McDonald's as a janitor, what have you, even at $8.25, you're still considered below the poverty line. And that's working full time with no time off. That's working 52 years or 52 weeks out of a year. It's crazy. But there's so much we can do to educate ourselves and to do something better, you know? I learned construction and concrete and how to lay stoops and walks and sidewalks and patios and basements, you know, and garages and driveways, you know. That was my way out. But I realized that wasn't going to last forever, and I had to do something really with my mind. And that's why I went to school. You know, and looking back, I'm glad I did. You know, and then I know some other things. Let's see. Yeah, I noticed that I quit. Out of the 11 jobs that I've had since 2000, I've quit 6 of them. And I've been laid off 3 times in my entire career, which was also due to the recession of the U.S. economy. But I noticed something else. I've been promoted only 1 time. And what I noticed is that every time I quit a job, it brought me a better opportunity. And that was that was probably the number 1 reason for every job that I've ever quit, was for a better opportunity. But I noticed when I took a job that was a better opportunity for me, 15% on average, I got an increase in salary. Okay? And only 2 times in my whole career have I actually made or had a decrease in pay when moving to the next job. And each one of those times that happened wasn't because I quit, it was because I got laid off before. So I just noticed some really interesting things. I hope you guys take a look at this, not for the purpose of me, you know, knowing my numbers just for that, but so that you can look at this graph and this information, or not graph, well, I guess it has a graph on it somewhat, but this information, and be able to think about your life and how you have progressed over time, and what that really means. You know, where have you had some successes in your life? What did you do at that time to get that success, or, you know, to get that increase in raise? You know, did you talk to your boss, or did you leave for another job or another opportunity, a career move, a sales pitch, whatever, you know? And then try and utilize those practices that you used to move forward in education, in career, in your personal life, to make yourself better for tomorrow. 1 second. Okay, I'll help you, JJ. 1 second. 1 second. Okay? All right. So, with having said that, this is budgetstrong.com. I just wanted to do a quick video. We're about to eat dinner. But I just want to share this with you. I put this together over the past few days, and it's just made a whole lot of difference in opening my eyes to, 1, be grateful and thankful to God for what He's done in my life and how He's made me. You know, I can't take full credit for this, you know. Yes, I worked hard, got my education, but God brought me those opportunities. So this is budgetstrong.com. I hope this is helpful to you to see, you know, what it means to work hard. And, you know, one other thing, last thing I want to point out is this took 11 years. This wasn't some fly-by-night thing that happened to me. You know, there was once a time where I too made minimum wage. You know, so if that's where you are, or you're somewhere in between, work hard, work smart, budget strong. Keep change in your pocket. Put some away for savings for that emergency, because they're going to happen. Okay? And you too can be successful as you define it. This is budgetstrong.com, and I'm signing off. Have a good night. I hope your dinner's great.